I'll call the meeting to order for the May 6th Town Council meeting. In the spirit of truth and reconciliation, we acknowledge the town of Edson is located on Treaty 6 territory, the traditional and ancestral lands of the Nikiwak, the Saulteaux, the Siksika, the Piikani, the Kena, the Dene, the Nakota Sioux, and the Otipemisiwak Métis Nations. We honor the knowledge of this land, the elders, and youth which gather here, and our ancestors who have gathered here for centuries. Before we make a motion for the agenda, we do have an introductions, and I'll pass it over to CEO Beveridge.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'm pleased to take a moment to introduce our new interim General Manager of Corporate Services, Brett Hawken. Brett joins us with a Bachelor of Commerce and Marketing. He obtained his NACLA, so National Advanced Certificate in Local Authority Administration, levels 1 and 2, and is just about to receive his CLGM, the Certified Local Government Manager designation, in a couple weeks. Brett started out his career as a municipal intern and moved on to become the Director of Community and Protective Services, and then on to Manager of Legislative Services before joining our team. He has also held the position of Deputy Director of Emergency Management and Planning Section Chief. Excellent assets to our region. Brett has a strong municipal experience and a solid understanding of all departments and believes in building a strong foundation for systems-level approach to local government. So please join me in welcoming Brett.
Welcome. All right. With that, I need a motion, please, that we can get someone to move the agenda. The agenda is going to be amended. The addition of item G6, the joint use planning agreements between the two school divisions. So somebody can move that agenda as amended, please. It's not queuing up, it's going live. Go ahead, Councillor Chenard.
I'll adopt the agenda with the addition of G6.
You'll move the adoption of the agenda? Is that what you said? Thank you. Any discussions on the agenda? That motion is carried. All right, I see Councillor Morris queuing up now. Okay. All right, next I could get a motion, please, to accept the minutes of the April 15th, 2025 regular meeting of the council. Councillor Moore.
I so move.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. Any errors, omissions, deletions, or corrections to such minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor? Those opposed? That motion is carried. All right, we have no public hearings, no presentation delegations. Up next, we have Ms. Denise McDonald, our Chief Financial Officer, to talk about our draft mill rate bylaw number 2325. If you could key your mic, please. Yeah, it's good to go.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor and Council. Before you tonight is the mill rate bylaw. Just the background, the Municipal Government Act sets the authority to establish municipal and requisition tax rates. Council has approved the 2025 operating and capital budgets on November 13, 24, with amendments April 15th. Since then, administration has made further adjustments to correct some errors that we had in the budget, as well as to adjust for the Yellowhead County Revenue Sharing Agreement amount and update the requisition amounts. And we have recalculated the tax incentive program expenses based on the rate being proposed tonight. Non-residential tax incentive program. The 2024 tax year was the final year of the non-residential tax incentive program for applications. The incentive reduces the municipal tax levy for those properties based on improved value of assessment for 5 years as follows. 100,000 for the first year, 100,000 for the second year, 100% for the first year, 100% for the second year, 75% the third year, 50%, and then finally 25% before they pay the full 100% of the municipal taxes in the sixth year. For 2025, $66 billion of assessment has been approved in the no, that's million. It has been approved in the incentive program for a total of $1,055,687 in municipal tax reduction. The tax incentive program must still contribute to education and the Evergreens Foundation, as well as taxes for any part of their properties that existed before the application for the incentive. And you will see this reflected in the non-residential mill rate for education and Evergreens later on in the presentation. There is a change in accounting and budgeting for this. In prior years, it was netted against the municipal tax revenue, versus now where we're showing it as an expense. Showing it as an expense will better reflect the program costs and ensure that the program is accounted for in the budget accordingly. 2025 budget. So the budget, to give a summary of the budget, the operating revenues are $28,010,099. The operating expenses are $42,623,787. Our capital revenues haven't changed. We're sitting at $43,708,540 with an equivalent capital expense. The budget required for municipal taxation is $14,613,688. For I've included, oh, I missed one. For requisitions, we wanted to show the comparable between the education requisitions. You can see that between 24 and 25, the requisition for education has increased 19% for a total dollar value amount of $354,222. The Evergreen Foundation is a 13% increase with an $89,714 increase. I wanted to take you back to the assessor's presentation where he shared with you that there's a 5% growth and a almost 1% inflationary factor built into our assessment. You can see that 25 taxable, we're sitting at, that one is $1,424,080,740 versus our taxable of the prior year, showing that we have 5.4% increase in our taxable assessment, which totals $77 million. So what does that mean for our taxpayers? So for residential properties, we've repeated in November, we showed you a very similar graph. And you can see that our property values at $250,000 would experience an increase of $5.62 per month for the year of 2025 with these rates being proposed. A property value of $350,000 would see a $7.87 increase per month, and a $450,000 property would look at $10.12 per month. Now, this doesn't take into account any change in assessment. This is assuming their assessment stays constant. You can see on the right-hand side the mill rate change. Overall, for residential, we're looking at a 2.72 combined increase. And you can see that education is 7% of that, Evergreens is 6% of that. So you can see that on the far right column, the municipal is 68% of the taxes collected from residential properties, 27% is education, and 5% is the Evergreens Foundation. And we need to go next up there. On our sample properties for non-residential properties, we've chosen three values, $500,000, $1.5 million, and $2 million in property value, and comparing it between 24 and 25. So a lower value property at $500,000 would experience a $11.24 per month increase. A 1.5 would experience $33.73 per month, and a $2 million property would $44.97 per month. Looking at the overall increase, a combined mill rate for non-residential, would be a 0.63% increase. The municipal is a 1% increase. Education is 2% increase. And just to explain why that's more is we have a considerable amount of increase in the non-residential that has tax incentive. However, it is helping spread the tax burden for education and requisition. So that's why it dropped by 2%. Evergreens Foundation is 6% increase. And you can see that municipal is 79% of the total taxes collected from non-residential properties, 18% from education, and 3% from the Evergreens Foundation. With that, administration is recommending a motion to approve the changed budget from the last time you visited it, and I'll read it for you. That council approve the revised 2025 operating budget for a total operating revenue of $28,010,099 and total operating expenditures of $42,623,787. That excludes amortization of $4,970,582, resulting in a municipal taxation levy requirement of $14,613 and $13,688. And then we would recommend council give all three readings to the bylaw in your agenda package tonight.
Thank you, Ms. McDonald. Let's open the floor to questions, council. Councillor Taylor.
Through the deputy mayor to Ms. McDonald, just go back. If we could just go back to the slide on the residential tax rate, just if we could. There was like 2 or 3 slides ago. Yeah, right there. Just going through and making sure my math is correct. So it's about $120 increase per year, roughly, give or take in cents, because $10 per month. Of the increases, and again, I just want to see that our portion is about $20 to $30 of that. Is that between about $30 of the 120 on the 450,000?
Oh, I could. Would you like those numbers calculated for you?
Yeah, if you don't mind, and the only reason I'm looking at it is, is our increase much smaller than the others? Like when I look at it,
So I do. The number that I do know off the top of my head is a $350,000 property. $5 of that is the education.
Yeah, and so where I'm going with this, and this is to administration, is that message needs to be communicated to the public. Is that a majority of the increase that you're going to see is not this municipality. It is beyond our control. And there's a communication aspect that we need to put out there as much as possible to highlight that it's not us and it's beyond, we're just tasked with collecting it, right? So and I know residents, when they open their tax notices, sometimes they ignore that fact. And I don't think in this case, this year for sure, we got to put the message out there that it's a majority of it is not this municipality doing that. So that's my comments just on the communications aspect when we put it out there.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Any other council comments? I'm not hearing any other questions.
Thank you.
Anything further?
Oh, thank you for the opportunity to present to you tonight.
Thank you. All right. That means we're up to motion time. If I get someone move that council approve the revised 2025 operating budget with total operating revenues of $28,010,099 and total operating expenditures of $42,623,787, excluding amortization of $4,970,582, resulting in a municipal taxation levy requirement of $14,613,688. Councillor Schneider.
I'll make the motion, and thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'm glad I didn't have to read all that, but thank you. I'll make the motion you just read.
Thank you. Any discussions? All right, hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that is carried unanimously. Next, I need a motion that council give first reading to bylaw number 2325. Councillor Moore.
That council give first reading to bylaw number 2325.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. Any discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Those opposed? That motion is carried. I get a motion that council gives second reading to bylaw number 2325. Councillor Chachka.
I so move.
Thank you, Councillor Chachka. Any discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That motion is carried unanimously. If I get a motion, please, for that bylaw number 2325 be placed for third reading. Councillor Bevan.
I'll make the motion that bylaw number 2325 be placed for third reading.
Thank you, Councillor Bevan. Discussions? Hearing all in favor? The motion is carried unanimously, so we can go to third reading. If I get a motion, please, that council give third reading to bylaw number 2325. Councillor Taylor.
I so move.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Any discussions for third reading? Hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That motion is carried. All right. Moving on. Item number G1, Donna Cross, our infrastructure manager, on our B1 sanitary rehabilitation project. Please come forward. And you'll have to key up your mic. The floor is yours.
Okay. Administration would like to discuss the proposed scope changes to the B1 project, which would include omitting upsizing the line on 14th Avenue between 55th and 54th Street. As council is aware, McElhaney Engineering completed a 2023 sewer assessment report, which identified several areas within the that had capacity deficiencies within our sewer system. The B1 project was identified in that report. It was identified as experiencing surcharging. Upon review of the pipe configuration, McElhaney stated that the 14th Avenue line services fewer homes and that the line has ample capacity to service the homes in that area. So upgrading this line would not correct the flooding issues that are being seen in this area. The engineer's findings in the report indicated that the flooding must be attributed to blockages and constrictions lower down, like downstream in the line. Another one of the sewer areas that were identified in the report was 10th Avenue, which was upgraded last year. And again, based on the engineer's modeling studies, the results said that if once 10th Avenue sanitary sewer upgrades were completed, that this would significantly improve the conditions related to the backups in the B1 area, because as it travels, that's the way it travels downwards. So also administration, to doing our due diligence, we reviewed the Camerang reports that utilities had completed, and we found that like within the boundaries of the B1 project. And what we found was that the 14th Avenue line, is of sound structure. There was no sags, no issues with that line. The 13th Avenue line, it did have a significant sag in it, so it was definitely needs to be repaired. And on 54th Street, between 13th and 12th Avenue, there was a lot of grease and a lot of sediment buildup. So the utilities department has cleaned that line with cambered again, and it also is in sound structure. I guess administration, like we do acknowledge the concerns that council and residents have regarding the recommendation to omit this from the project, considering all the flooding issues in that area. But, you know, as the administration does feel with our operational information and data that we've collected, we feel confident that that line is sound and also contributing to McElhaney's reports. They gave a lot of information, did a lot of modeling study as well, and it is a recommendation that this line does not get upgraded. It's a significant cost savings, and, you know, I know it's not all about cost savings, but there is a lot of infrastructure that does need to be replaced, and there is other issues within the town that the money could go to. It's approximately between a $900,000 to $1 million cost savings if we don't upgrade this line. We do have Jeff Edmondson here from McElhaney's. I'd like to apologize. I assumed he was going to be here in public. He's online. We've been having a few issues with our emails. blocking spam. And Jeff was trying to reach out to me, and I was trying out to him, and we weren't receiving each other's emails. So sorry for the confusion on that, but I'll let Jeff take it over. He can help us go through his presentation and how McElhaney has come to the recommendation.
Okay, sounds good. Hello, everyone. Yeah, like Donna has introduced me, I'm Jeff Amundsen. I work with McElhaney. We're a consulting firm here in Edmonton, and we've done quite a bit of work on your sanitary sewer system. Donna, because I can't quite see what's on your screen, is the presentation up? Or, okay,
No.
I'm just gonna,
There's just
Am I-
you on our screen.
am I able to share my screen? Sorry, I'm not a Skype expert. Apologies, everyone. Oh, there we are. Found the share button. Okay, here we go. Can everyone see my screen now?
Just you.
No. Let's try one more time.
We can see something now. We can see your presentation now.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so starting the presentation, there's a couple purposes to the presentation. One is to give a brief background to, I guess, how we arrived here, what the purpose of the project is, and then giving a further detailed breakdown of the optional scope on 14th Avenue. I'll try to keep the background kind of brief as possible, just because I'm sure the part that everybody's actually interested in is the 14th Avenue optional scope. So giving it, basically this project is meant to take place over quite a few streets: 10th Avenue, 52nd Street, 12th Avenue, 54th Street, 13th Avenue, 54th Street, and then maybe 14th Avenue. That's why I've shortened it to B1. So what we'll be talking about today, why was the work initiated, the project history, project B1 itself, and then the optional scope. So as I'm sure everybody here is aware, there was significant flooding during 2022 and 2023. And through this, there was widespread basement flooding throughout the town. And so concurrent to the flooding, we were actually, McElhaney had already proceeded with the sanitary capital plan model. And so the model showed very similar things, that there was quite a few areas of high risk across the town. And so we came up with a game plan for what needed to be repaired in order to basically take this risk away again, so that people don't see their basements continuously flooded. So with that said, the kind of as a function of both our kind of what the model was showing and then what the town was saying, where people were experiencing the most flooding, we selected, I guess if you can see it on the screen here, A2, A1, and B1 is the highest priority areas for upgrading. And so last year we moved forward with 10th Avenue and 54th Street. And kind of the way that we did that project was we just did the sanitary line. And the reason for that was to, as quickly as possible and as cheaply as possible, take away the risk of future basement flooding. The issue was that the single line replacement was quite difficult for a number of reasons. It resulted in quite a few utility conflicts, and as well, the final product isn't quite as good when you do just the single line. It is preferable to do all of your underground works and then all of the surface works at the same time. But just in an effort to kind of save costs and move it forward as quickly as possible, we just did the single line. And so it was pretty much, so we got through it, but there was noted issues in the sanitary, or in the water and stormwater system. And so when we came up to Project B1, which was a continuation of the alignment on 10th Avenue and 54th Street, when we were reviewing the site in more detail, here, I'll move to the next page, there were quite a few utilities in close proximity. And so when we were kind of assessing risk for the project, we just knew that there would be a lot of schedule implications to this, and then also likely a lot of change orders. And so the decision was made kind of at this point to do full underground rehab and a full road resurfacing. And so that's kind of brought us to where we are today, where we are planning to move forward this summer with doing all of these upgrades within this project area, kind of within this, along this alignment. And so moving into the 14th Ave optional scope, when we were initially looking at the required upgrades, part of the reason that we identified this 14th Avenue was that there was so much flooding reported around here. And so that was kind of the main trigger for, and that was also represented in the model that there was flooding along here. So that was the main trigger for looking at upsizing that line. But sometimes when you're kind of looking at this from a high level perspective, just in the model. And then when we dug into the project kind of in more detail, it became clear one thing to consider is that on this line, there's very few houses. And so there's very little risk of this line being over capacity or under capacity. This few houses with that size of line, just from a hydraulic perspective, is perfectly fine. We wouldn't expect flooding on this ever. And so what we kind of narrowed it down to was that there was obviously a downstream issue, which was causing it to back up. And so I guess from a risk perspective, there's very little benefit to upsizing this line because it's already fine from a capacity perspective. And so, but the thing is, if there's a downstream plug, it doesn't matter how much bigger you make this line, it's still going to surcharge up back into the basement. And so basically what our model showed is you take care of the downstream issues, and this should never be a problem. And kind of as a follow-up to that, the town proceeded with kind of an investigation of, like Donna said, the surrounding and downstream roads and the sanitary system in those roads. And it showed that there was a lot of grease buildup, and then like Donna said, a sag in the pipe. And so a lot of that'll get kind of fixed when we go to just replace those lines. And so looking at kind of what's on, I guess, how many houses, or how do I say this? Looking at how many houses are being serviced by this line, it's just, for the amount of money that is being spent, you're really not getting any improvement in your sanitary system performance. And so that's kind of how we came up with kind of this final recommendation to look at omitting the 14th Ave from the project scope. And so what would probably make more sense kind of financially to the town is to just maybe do some ongoing monitoring, and that'll kind of make sure that, we don't see a similar buildup in the future, and make sure that the line's flushed and kind of move forward from there. And then kind of on the next slide here, we kind of have some pictures of what we were seeing in the downstream pipe. So there was, you can see a lot of debris built up in those pipes. And so the town utilities department has been kind of diligently cleaning it out so that hopefully they don't see any problems this year. But again, once the pipe's replaced, that'll be replaced, or that problem should be kind of corrected anyway. But and then we have one last slide here kind of showing, this is something that the town kind of put together to indicate, I guess schematically where the flooding has been taking place, where the sag is and the grease, and then where they put a manhole sensor. Don, I don't remember, I think Darren was possibly going to attend, but I don't know if that's the case.
Darren is here to help me out.
Okay, good.
Come and have a chat.
So I don't know if he wanted to add anything on to
Yeah.
this description. I know this was kind of the town's addition to my presentation, but it's possible. Like if I've said everything, that's okay too.
Mr. Kitlitz?
Has nothing to add.
Sorry, what was that, Donna?
Yeah, Clayton wants to speak.
Okay, thank
Oh,
you.
okay.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yeah, I can speak a little bit to this slide. I think in support of the information that Jeff has shared, what we are trying to do here is demonstrate where the downstream pipes were problematic. So the 13th Ave one that's in the oval circle there, that's where that buildup was, but also that's about 100 meters of pipe and 90 meters of it was half full of water. So there's a massive sag in that pipe. So essentially the capacity of that pipe has been reduced significantly. And I think also the 54th Street segment from 13th to 12th was also had some blockages in it that we've removed. If you look at the historical flooding, it's been in that area, and I guess what the data is suggesting is because of that pipe being under capacity, everything's backing up on the top side of that pipe. So we believe, in addition to the data that Jeff's offered, we believe by fixing the downstream, we're going to eliminate the problems in that area. So it's just demonstrating history and where also we put on there where the backflows and sump pumps have been installed since the last floods. So just for information for council.
Okay.
And the star is where the sensor's been for the last year, I think. Yeah, year. So we've been monitoring there.
So I don't know if that's a good summary or if there's kind of anything that maybe any questions left unanswered through what I was saying. Or if there's anything you'd like me to elaborate a little further on.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
So on that, from the star, I guess, going south. Now we're going from what size of pipe to what size of pipe?
I've recommended this whole thing be upsized to 375 millimeter.
And what is it currently?
I got to double check whether it's I believe it's 200 millimeter.
So that's considerably larger.
Yeah, and so, I mean, in addition to it being, almost twice as big across, it's actually it's several times more capacity in the line because it's increasing by area, not just linearly. I think it's something like 5 times as much can flow through that pipe compared to what was there previously.
Councillor Chenard, and then Councillor Jackson.
Through Deputy Mayor to Jeff. So the first part that I was questioning on is 14th Avenue, and I think the explanation is clear to the public listening. So we're upsizing 13, but what is that feeding into? Like, because we're always saying downstream, if we upside that, do we have a guarantee the far end is going to be able to take this upsized pipe? Do you have any information
Yes,
on that?
I'll go back to one of my earlier figures here. So this is kind of the alignment that we were chasing from, I guess, last summer onward. So we have the tie-in here. And so we came up here, came here, and then we were just followed up to about here. So that's where we ended off last summer. And then from here, we're going to be continuing up this way. And so the reason we did that is so that, you don't have if we would have started from the top, then we just would have kind of been moving the bottleneck, but we've essentially opened it up so that we don't see a bottleneck in the downstream as it travels down here. I don't know if that answers your question sufficiently.
Councillor Chachka.
Thanks. So through the Deputy Mayor to Mr. Amundsen. Back on slide 8, the houses just to the left of the red kind of oval spot there, are those the only houses that will feed into that line as well, or does it continue, like does that tags go into it, or is that diverted elsewhere?
Like you're asking whether this line comes in?
Right. So that line goes in, and then does anything beyond that, or is that the end of that line?
I think that it would also be split here.
No,
I'd have to bring up my model actually to see exactly how it performs.
There's a manhole in the intersection there that takes the trailer park and goes straight down the road, and that's a dead end line on that line that goes to the house that borders the trail. I just know that from a different project from a long time ago. So the trailer park comes down to that manhole, and then it goes straight down past the apartment buildings, and then the other one's a dead end line. So the reason those other houses would have backed up is because the plug that was circled that one is blocking everybody up, and you have all the neighborhoods above it pushing into those houses.
Exactly right. Yeah.
So I guess, oh, Councillor Moore, you have a question. Go ahead, Councillor Moore.
Yes, thanks very much. It's Jeff. So by not doing 14th and doing all the other stuff around it, can you guarantee that 14th will never be flooded again?
Yeah, like, I mean, you can always get a big enough, there always can be a reason that it floods, but it would never be a result of that line not being upsized. I guess, you know, you could have, I mean, you can never say never, but this, the project we're doing should eliminate all risk of flooding. And if I'm stating this correctly, 14th Ave, yeah, excluding this from the project scope won't change the risk at all.
And your confidence level on that statement?
I'm very confident, and it just for an extra level of comfort to the council. Here, I'm going to find the right figure. So the entire contributing area to this line here is just this line up here, and so that is very few houses in reality, and so that, like, I know that size of pipe can support quite a bit more flow than just this small little block. And so, yeah, I personally have no concerns that excluding this from the project scope is going to be a problem.
You can't see it. We have homeowners in that neighborhood who don't want to see their basements flooded again. So
Yeah, and
Yes.
I would, if we see flooding in here after all the work we've done, I'll start crying too. So yeah, I'm quite confident.
okay, Councillor Chenard.
I'm just going to chime in too, because I'm exactly right. All the people in that neighborhood are not going to be very happy. So we're passing the blame on to you. I do appreciate your study, and it does make sense because when I first went through it, but it's always downstream. So the guarantee, I hope we're right, or just hope it doesn't rain too much. So one or the other, but thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Councillor Chenard. Anything further on this? Any? Okay. Yeah, queue up. Go ahead, Councillor Taylor.
Through the deputy mayor to council and administration, I do want to actually respond to Councillor Chenard's comment as well. It's nice that we could try passing the blame on to somebody, but the buck stops with us in terms of making this decision. I am supportive of the motion that's on the agenda to omit 14th Ave from this project. That being said, you know, a number of residents have contacted, and they legitimately have concerns. Their houses have flooded a number of times in the last few years. So it's natural to be nervous. If I lived there, I would be nervous about this too. I know we have our sump pump backflow preventer program, and I know we're seeing a cost savings of you know, up to 1.2 million. I believe that was when the RFD, you say 900,000 to $1 million. There's opportunities there for residents. I think we pay 50%. I'd be willing, certainly in that small area, you know, if administration wants to bring that back to council, to look at that and upgrading or upping the limit for that for residents in that particular area that would have been affected by not upgrading that line. It's peanuts at the end of the day, and considering the savings that we're seeing. And if we up that limit to say, hey, you know, if you want to do extra prevention, then great, because we can't say never. We really can't. And you know, if we're going to put people's minds at ease, then that's in our favor. And it is in our favor too, that we need houses that can be sold in this community. If people find out that, you know, these houses are flooding all the time, that does nothing to sell our community to people moving here. So that's kind of my comment, and I'd like to see administration perhaps bring that policy back so we can look at, and listen, if it is a targeted look at that policy in terms of this small area and these limited amount of homes, then so be it. So that's something I would like to see what that amount is. Currently, I know it's 50%, whether it's 75 or 80% that we're willing to cover to help, then so be it, if it puts people's minds at ease. So those are my comments.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. GM Kitlitz?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. And this is actually quite timely because it's kind of a response to Councillor Taylor as well. So one of the things that's in the RFD that we didn't talk about tonight is we're also going to start focusing some more attention on the infiltration issues that are happening. So there's some technologies out there to allow us to do some testing to try to determine if there's any infiltration in the north part of the community. And that'll help us focus a little bit more on a backflow and a sump pump program with a bit more data behind it rather than picking. And then it makes, then there could be an argument to increase the funding for that program. So that's not in place of doing future upgrades. That's just in addition to, because the infiltration was noted in the report from McElhaney. So we haven't really spent a lot of time and effort on that yet, but I think we're going to try to focus on that for 2026.
Thank you, Mr. Kitlitz. Councillor Taylor.
Yeah, through the Deputy Mayor to Mr. GM Kitlitz, thank you for that. Still would like to see the program be brought back so we could look at it for that particular area. I also want to note as well that happy to see looking at a plan as 2026 regarding I think you were alluding to this, the weeping tile as well. I had that in my notes. It seemed like someone cut corners 40 or 50 years ago on some homes, and I think some people are suffering for it. So to find out how to proceed with that to protect these homes even more is a good idea. So I appreciate putting that in the plan for the future for 2026.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Anybody else? Councillor Chechka.
Thanks. Through the Deputy Mayor to Jeff, our presenter with McElhaney. So when you guys brought this forward in 2023, after you did the study, and that 14th Ave was included in that B1 area, so if it's my understanding, it was kind of done arbitrarily because the houses were flooding on that line and not because of the way the piping system is designed. Like I noticed that it's, what is the street there? 55th Street, kind of up and around the corner, wasn't included, even though that would have been the end of the line. So that 14th Ave was just included because of the houses that were flooding there?
The noted flooding, yeah, that's correct.
Okay, and not because of certain piping things that you were aware of?
Yeah, it wasn't a function of like the hydraulic calculations. It was a function of kind of just, so many people reporting flooding.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Anybody else have anything further? Councillor Taylor?
Through the Deputy Mayor to Administration, do you need a motion to bring that policy back, or is that something you do? Okay. I'll be happy to make that motion perhaps after our motions that we have here.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. So someone will draft something up for that?
I can try to wait. And get someone to bring it.
Okay.
I can get AI to do it.
That's okay. I'm okay with the motion, so do you want to make the motion? We don't have a motion on the table, so if you wanted to make a motion, do we need to wordsmith that? Okay, why don't we can deal with the business at hand, and then, because if it doesn't pass or passes, then it may make the decision on the motion. So let's get a motion that council authorize removal of the 14th Ave sanitary sewer line upgrade from the B1 sanitary rehabilitation project scope of work. Who would like to make that motion? Councillor Chenard.
I'll make the motion that's on the floor. The council authorize removal of 14th Avenue sanitary sewer line upgrade from B1 sanitary rehabilitation scope of work.
Thank you, Councillor Chenard. All right, discussions? Debate? It's a tough one just because nobody wants to have anybody's basements flooded, so but it's a huge cost savings, and I think I agree with Councillor Taylor on his following motion that's coming. They have to look at it maybe a little different way, but if there's any other discussions, I'll call the question on the motion. All those in favor? Anybody opposed? The motion is carried. All right. Do we need longer? We can bring it that. Nope. CO Beveridge?
Deputy Mayor, through to Councillor Taylor, can you repeat what you intended for this motion, please? Thank you.
Councillor Taylor.
Through the mayor to CO Beveridge, something along the lines to bring back the backflow sump pump preventer program. I don't know if it was a policy or I don't think it was a policy. It was a program for review. There you go. Yeah.
You were mentioning that you want it for that 14th area where we're doing it?
Yeah.
And was it 75 or 80%? 80?
I think the motion is to just bring it back at this point
Okay.
to review it. I think that's
Okay.
this is what we can discuss.
Okay. And I don't think we have to emphasize the word pump on there. Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Taylor.
I move that administration bring back the backflow preventer and sump pump program for review at a future council meeting.
Thank you. Everybody understands the motion on the table? Any discussions? Councillor Cheshka.
Thanks. Through the Deputy Mayor to administration, given the season that we're in right now, I would just prefer if there's an opportunity for that to come back sooner than later. And I believe from my perspective, the only thing we want to review on that entire project is what Councillor Taylor had alluded to. So, timeliness is important, I guess, here. Thank you.
Yeah, I would concur with that as well. All right, any other discussion? Hearing all those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. All right, next we have a presentation from Ryan O'Sullivan, our Transportation and Parks Manager, on traffic signs, signs maintenance and replacement policy 0-T-18-C. Floor is yours. If you want to key your mic.
Yep. Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and Council. As soon as the presentation pops up here, I will be presenting on Policy OT-18C, the Traffic Signs and Sign Maintenance and Replacement Policy. There we go. So administration has rewritten the traffic sign and sign maintenance and replacement policy, OT-18C, and procedure OT-18C. It provides more concise and better meets the needs of the transportation group. The goal of this policy is to mitigate road traffic accidents and injury caused by misinformation due to incorrect signage that would result in claims against the organization, and maintain regulatory compliance through the town. This policy will establish operational guidelines for the transportation personnel and utilize planning of traffic signs and street signs, maintenance and repair. So some of the questions that were brought up from the Cal meeting regarding the moving of the knockdown sign from the policy. This needs to stay in due to, it would be one of the parameters that needs to be fixed. So being knocked down would be a parameter to fix the sign, just because it's down, yeah. Regarding highway signs and having in emergency situations, in section 4.1 subsection E, the damage, should a damage occur to a stop or yield sign anywhere in the town will respond within 2 hours of the notification, positioning a temporary sign of the same type until a permanent one is replaced, whether that be in the town or on the highway. And regarding what was spent in 2024 on sign replacement, we spent $16,324 on signs. As I say, I think they're a target in this town. Again, our traffic signs and street signs are going to be designated into the categories A, B, C, D, E, and F, and there'll be a year between inspections areas, as stated in the RFD. Recommendation, the council approve the traffic signs and sign maintenance and policy repair policy, OT 18-C, as presented. Any questions?
Thank you. Councillor Moore.
Hi, through the deputy mayor. What was the cost of replacement in the previous year, 2023?
Through the deputy mayor to Councillor Moore, I believe we were at, if I'm remembering correctly, about $12,000. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. Councillor Bevan.
Through the chair, Sullivan, are we getting away from the breakaway signs there and that people seem to always want to knock over really easy and just go into a straight metal pipe in the ground?
Through the deputy mayor to Councillor Bevan. Yes, we've gone right away from the breakaway signs. We were having problems with people just walking up and pushing them over. And so we've gone away from that, and they're now braced with a concrete post.
Red deer, the big columns. Any other questions? All right. If there's no other questions, then I'll accept the motion. Council approve the traffic signs and signs maintenance and replacement policy OT 18C as presented. Councillor Taylor.
I so move.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Discussions? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. You might as well stay there. You're up next. So next is sidewalk, curb, and gutter maintenance policy OT 19C.
Thank you. Thanks again, Deputy Mayor and Council. As soon as the presentation comes in, I'd like to present the Town of Edson sidewalk, curb, gutter, and maintenance policy and procedure OT 19-C. So administration has rewritten the sidewalk, curb, gutter, and maintenance policy and procedure OT 18-C to align with the current operational recourse within the Transportation Department as well as best industry standards. So there's regarding questions about how much sidewalk we got completed in 2024. At 1.5 meter sidewalk, we had 77 meters replaced. Barrier, curb, and gutter, we had 25.8 meters replaced. Monolithic sidewalk, so that was curb and gutter replaced, we had 32 meters. We had 44 meters of boulevard replaced. We had 80 meters of pair ramps, so it's kind of a cubic area that they go by, and 3 meter plus mono sidewalks like the sidewalks that are in our downtown core. We had 12.7 meters replaced last year. There was a question on the pair ramps. So we do replace as needed. Wherever one is required or asked for, we try and put them in as quick as possible. And regarding the pair ramp program, it will be investigated in the 2026 budget years. And again, with our policy, we're going to break it out into the A, B, C, D, F areas with a year between areas for inspections, as presented in the policy. So we're recommending that council approve the sidewalk, curb, gutter, and maintenance policy, OT 19-C, as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Councillor Chachkip. Okay. Councillor Chenard.
Through Deputy Mayor to Ms. Sullivan. So a lot of the sidewalks, so a lot of it is on a complaints basis. So, you know, people would be saying they need the ramps to be more suitable for wheelchair, stroller and stuff. How are those being dealt with? Because I don't believe the sidewalks just fall apart in one year. So I'm agreeing with your new program maintenance. So the maintenance will correspond with the complaints. So someone's complaining about, I'm going to pick on the Royal Bank, the one down there. If so, that will be, you will monitor to see which got to be replaced, and then with the people reporting a problem, we can correspond together. And then at the end of the day, I guess it just costs more money to fix if we're only allowing you so much. So the policy I like, it's just that if we can correspond with the complaints, that might help to direct what should be replaced when and where. So just a comment.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Councillor Chenard. Councillor Bevan.
Here's the Deputy Mayor to Ryan Sullivan. I know there's people that are interested in this and going to be listening today on this sidewalk here and that. Can you explain to them if they don't know what par ramps is?
Through the deputy mayor to Councillor Bevan. So pair ramps are handy-capable ramps that people can get from the roadway surface up to the sidewalk elevation. And there's a certain degree where it makes ease to get up for a wheelchair or a mobile scooter or whatever, what have you, or even someone pushing a wheelchair or a baby carriage.
You don't know. You don't learn about those until you have kids
There you go.
or you're handicapped. Councillor Bevan?
I guess to follow up on that too, through Deputy Mayor, is there's been asked, is there going to be any kind of a lip from the pavement to get up onto the sidewalk? So I know some of them here got a lip probably maybe of 2 or 3 inches. You come off, you hit the pavement, it's a lip. And some of these wheelchairs, you know, even motorized one, have a hard time getting over top of that. They kind of, it's like a big bump for them. They get stuck or whatever, or somebody pushing a buggy in that.
Through the deputy mayor to Councillor Bevan. So there is new guidelines and we follow them directly with the industry standards, and no, there is no lip in the new ones. Now, a lot of these through our pair ramps through our town is older based pair ramps, and they put in as industry standards have evolved. All I do is ask if they can put in a report a problem or call me directly, and we have a grinder which we can grind down those lips, which we have gotten in the last couple of years of. Yeah.
All right, any other questions? Councillor Chachka, did you want to make the motion?
Sure. I move that council approve the sidewalk, curb, and gutter maintenance policy, OT 19C, as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Chachka. Any discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed? And that motion is carried. All right. Next, our presenter is Tanya Byers, Community Services Manager, on our draft community grants policy, CS11C. The mic's already keyed up, so whenever you're ready.
Okay, do I need to wait for the presentation to come up? Oh, there we go. Okay. Good evening, Council. I'm happy to consult with you about the future of our community grants initiative. Oh, sorry. There we go. And so this matter has been presented on a couple of times, and I do really appreciate the feedback that we've received from each and every one of you. We were able to do some fine tuning, and hopefully the policy we have before you is going to be satisfactory in what you were looking for. So there was really very few changes. The policy as presented now, it reflects council approvals above the threshold of 2,500. And so the CAO is authorized to approve requests that are less than 2,500. The Chief Administrative Officer can delegate tasks when deemed necessary and will do so if required. And further, the staff responsibilities were moved from this policy as they're procedural in nature, and they're now included in the procedure rather than the policy. What you see here is just some examples of the marketing ads that are going to be going out. So we're ready to launch the program as soon as the policy is approved. And so I guess following adoption, we're going to be rolling out the policy and the grant initiative with a focused public education campaign to ensure widespread understanding. And our community development team is also going to be providing support. So if anybody has any questions or whatnot with the application process, or should I apply, can I apply, what stream should I apply for, our whole team is going to be ready and able to assist. And everything is ready to roll out tomorrow. And so with that, we're recommending that council approve community grants policy CS11-C as presented. Thank you.
Ms. Byers, are you making a motion? Okay, Councillor Chachka.
Through the deputy mayor to Ms. Byers, thanks for bringing this back. What was the deadline for the grants? Was it May 30th or May 15th?
Through the deputy mayor to Councillor Kashka, we had initially set it for May 15th, but we're extending this one to May 30th just for this go around. And then next year it'll be May 15th.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councillor Taylor?
Through the Deputy Mayor, Ms. Byers, are you going to be using a similar rubric when you that we use for FCSS when you're allocating funding or deciding which groups get that funding? The rubric we use for FCSS seemed to work relatively well at our last meeting. I was just wondering what you're using to decide. Yeah.
Yes, through the deputy mayor to Councillor Taylor, we do have a rubric set up. It is different, like a little bit different because the outcomes and such are different, but it's quite comprehensive, and it's also available on the website so that while they're filling out their applications, they're going to understand how everything is weighted and, basically how the importance of certain things. And there's really, the first part of that is, are they eligible? So, that's going to be the first thing, I guess, that we go through the application. If they're maybe not the right type organization, or it doesn't quite meet our mandate or strategic priorities, that sort of thing, then we will have the ability to reject the application altogether. That being said, we want, if it's close, obviously we would work with them to try to work and, make sure that it does fit things if it can. You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay, then I get someone to make a motion that council approve community grants policy CS11C as presented. Councillor Chenard.
I'll move the council approve the community grant policy CS11C as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Chenard. Any discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have CEO Beveridge talking about Alberta Rural Health Week proclamation.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'm pleased this evening to present the opportunity for Council to proclaim the week of May 26th to 30th as Alberta Health Week in the town of Edson. Just a little bit of background with regards to Rural Health Week. Rural healthcare providers are, they provide essential resources to our communities. They provide the quality of, keep quality of life in rural areas, and their healthcare skills and practices makes personal contributions to the community. These professionals not only have special relationships with the people they serve, and not only are they healthcare professionals, but friends, families, and neighbors in our community. Moreover, they often take on the role of teaching and mentoring future healthcare providers in our communities. The Rural Health Professionals Action Plan has requested that the town formally proclaim the Alberta Health Week for the week of May 26th to 30th, as mentioned, officially. Given that this complies with the policy, administration saw no reasons not to bring this forward. Thank you.
Thank you, CEO Beveridge. And I get someone to move that council proclaims the week of May 26th to 30th, 25 as Alberta Rural Health Week in the town of Edson. Councillor Bevan.
I'll make the motion that council proclaim the week of 26th to 30th, 2025 as Alberta Rural Health Week in the town of Edson.
Thank you, Councillor Bevan. Anybody have any discussion or debate on this? Councillor Chechka.
Through the Deputy Mayor to Council, I don't have a debate, just a comment. So through the Attraction and Retention Committee, they have been working on the Healthcare Hero, so that's been sent out to the community. People have been able to nominate a Healthcare Hero of their choice throughout the community. The results have come in, and they're working on that right now, and there will be some awards for our healthcare heroes during that week at the barbecue on the Wednesday at the hospital. So I don't remember what that date is. I think the 28th. Yeah. So, just wanted to comment on that.
Thank you for that addition, Councillor Chechka. Any other discussions? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? That motion is carried. All right, next, I believe we have GM Wagstaff. Are you presenting on the next one? Councillor Tit.
On this item, I'll be declaring a conflict of interest as Living Waters is my employer.
Thank you.
Councillor Prasichny, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but we can't see you.
Oh, can't see me.
Now we can see you.
There we go.
Floor is yours whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Just going to share my screen as I'm going to start the presentation here. Okay. Hopefully everyone can see that now. Is that correct?
Yes, we can see you. We're just waiting
Okay.
for you to show your presentation.
Oh. One more button to press. My apologies. Thank you.
Yeah, now your
the
your presentation's up, so whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Pisichny. To all of council, joint use and planning agreement, commonly known as, update for the public, just very briefly what JUPA is. In June 2020, the Municipal Government Act was amended and now requires municipalities to enter into joint use planning agreements with the school divisions, school boards that operate in the municipality. There are existing facility use agreements signed in 1983 with the Edson Roman, at the time it was Edson Roman Catholic Separate School Division, which currently guides the relationship with Living Waters Catholic Separate School Division. And in 2011, a JUPA was established with Grand Yellowhead Public School Division number 77, which sets out the guiding principles. Both of these documents are functional documents. However, they do not meet the existing requirements that are under the new MGA regulations. So that has led every municipality to move forward in getting these. So they are required not only by the Municipal Government Act, but they are also required by the Education Act to mandate a JUPA. So both the boards as well as municipalities, councils are required to enter into these agreements. The timeline was 3 years after it came into effect. That initial timeline would have expired in 2023. It was extended to 2025 for all municipalities and school boards to get this into place. And then in February, they extended it again to June 10th, 2026. However, we've been at this for some time with our school divisions, and we believe there's no point in waiting any longer. This was presented in February to the Committee of the Whole. Since then, there were a couple of amendments made to the agreements. They are based off of boilerplates. Living Waters has both governing committee and an operating committee, whereas Grand Yellowhead Public School Division only has an operating committee within the agreements that are presented today. The changes that were made since you've seen it last, council, was the governing committees as well as councils and boards are to meet on an as-needed basis. These were changes that were made in the document themselves on page 7 and 8, which added the quote that you see below here: community use of school facilities on joint use hours may be considered through special. Oh, sorry, no, that's not the one. My apologies. Reading from the screen, that they're going to be needed. Their meeting will be on an as-needed basis. So that change was made on pages 7 and 8 in the respective agreements. Next step, if approved today, would be for the administrations to coordinate signing the agreements with the boards themselves. And Councillor Pisichny, I would be open to any questions at this point in time.
Great. Thank you, GM Wagstaff. Councillor Chenard has a question.
Through Deputy Mayor to Doug Wagstaff. On page 23, where it says Schedule C, joint time use, I noticed Sunday's not on there, but some of the tournaments that happen, volleyball and whatever, indoors, they do happen to fall on Sunday because it's a 3-day tournament. Is there any way people could apply to get the Sunday? Because it's not on the schedule. And that was on
And
page
that's
23.
through the chair to Councillor Chouinard and all the council. That is the quote that I had up there before, where it was indicating that they can be amended and requests can be made, but the requirements that are in the agreement are set out as the things that we shall do. It doesn't mean that there are other things that we can't do, working with the school divisions. And forgive me, but there is a clause in there. Forgive me the fact that I don't know exactly on which page, but it does indicate, I think in the joint use, I'm just trying to pull up here, Schedule D, it does refer to the principals being able to, work with the principals to make arrangements that if it's outside of the agreement. It just doesn't guarantee that that's the case.
Okay, thank you.
CAO Beveridge?
Deputy Mayor, through to supplement, I think, Doug, to mention that it's due to custodian availability as well. That's really why the Sundays are more of a challenge, but that's definitely something that we've included within our discussions within the schools to make it more possible for groups to use our facility or the facilities within our schools.
Anybody have any other questions? Clear as mud? All right. So there's gonna be two motions because there's two different school divisions. So if I could get someone to move that council authorize the endorsement of the joint use planning agreement with Living Waters Catholic Separate School Division. Councillor Bevan.
I'll make the motion that council authorize endorsement of the joint use and planning agreement between Living Waters Catholic Separate School Division.
Thank you, Councillor Bevan. Any discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That motion is carried. And next, I need a motion that council authorize endorsement of the joint use and planning agreement with Grand Yellowhead Public School Division. Councillor Chachka.
I so move.
Thank you, Councillor Chachka. Any discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That motion is carried. Someone who get Councillor Taylor, please. Next is committee reports. What's our date? Okay, for committee reports, just queue up and we'll go in order. So we're going back to the 15th of April for reports. Councillor Chachka.
Thank you. On April 21st, I had a Community Futures West Yellowhead executive meeting over Zoom. On April 24th, I had a Community Futures West Yellowhead board meeting in Hinton. We've got Lemonade Day coming up on Saturday, June 14th. And as mentioned previously, a bunch of things happening in the fall in Edson. On April 28th, I had a steering committee meeting, and on April 29th, a YCE multiplex steering committee meeting. And April 30th, I had an attraction and retention committee meeting. We went over the physician conference. We had 4 members that went to Winnipeg to the rural and remote physician conference. And they had a booth set up there as an exhibitor. They talked to a lot of physicians and got information. We had a Dropbox, so they were able to talk to them and get their information, contact information. Many of them they'll be reaching out to, but they did notice that there are an outstanding number of them would like to be locums. Right now, it is more profitable to be a locum than it is to be established in a community. There's lots of incentives to do that, and there's a reason why they have that, but the scales seem to be tipped a little bit too far at this moment in time, but that's not up for our group to fix. We just then need to try to get locums. But otherwise, it went really well. We did have a discussion that politically there might be an opportunity to lobby the government from, the town council perspective and the Yellowhead County perspective at some point to support rural Alberta because medical centers are, if we only have locums coming out to our communities. They're not supporting the overhead in our clinics in the same way. And a lot of the locums aren't interested in being in the clinics, they're interested in being in hospitals. So it's really challenging to the rural communities in Alberta that are set up just like ours are. We may see more of those, be in dire situations as we have. And so we might be able to do something to lobby the government, but we'll have to gather a bit more information before we proceed. And we were talking about retention. As mentioned, there's the barbecue coming up, but we were talking about what else can we do to kind of, help relieve the pressure off of the emergency room, because that's something that we're seeing. And we kind of opened up this area that we, although we've been meeting for many months, we didn't realize that we have quite a few different medical services in our community that are being underutilized. It's not uncommon that the walk-in clinic is not full every day. And people don't have to wait 8 hours, right? They're not even open 8 hours, so they're not waiting that long. But they are waiting, maybe a few hours. There are opportunities for women to get health exams in our public health center of the hospital, where you take your kids for immunizations. So there's an opportunity to still kind of have some of your medical needs met. One of the pharmacies can do other medical. I don't want to say what they can do because I'm not entirely sure, but I know shoppers can do they can take some patients and they can do some diagnosing of small things, right? Like strep throat and other things. So we realize that there's quite a few different services in the community that are being underutilized right now. So we're going to work on that as a group and gather that information and try to communicate that better to the public, because we know that people are frustrated and nervous and upset that they can't see their doctors. But if there's a way that they can get some things met, then that might be a good thing. So, and that's my report.
Thank you, Councillor Chechka. Councillor Taylor.
On April 18th, I attended the Youth Council organized event, the Lunch for the Unhoused that they had organized, and the youth did a fantastic job serving burgers and hot dogs, and it kind of became a community barbecue as well. Huge shout out to the sponsors. We had Niku Sushi, Jensen's, Hinton Home Hardware, the Legion, Pado, and Cold Kettle. And I'll say the Youth Council, they did all the work. They had organized all the funding. They served everything, cooked everything, cleaned up. It was fantastic. They did have an excess of $300, which they also donated to the food bank. So hats off to our Youth Council on a fantastic event. On April 23rd, I attended a FCSS meeting where we went through the various grants that we have, and that'll be coming to council on May 20th for ratification there. On April 29th, I attended a homelessness task force. It was actually our AGM where we re-elected our executive. So our chair is still Christy Gamalka. And we do have some banking things set up, so things are progressing there. And just another quick note on the Youth Council is they raised about $2,100 for the food bank at the trade show through their 50/50. So hats off to the Youth Council for the work they do, and that's my report.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Councillor Chenard.
I don't have any to report. The only thing is, on May 2nd, I presented the award on behalf of the town of Edson at the Volunteer Appreciation Supper at the Legion. That's it for my report.
Thank you, Councillor Chenard. Councillor Bevan.
On the 15th, we had a committee of the whole meeting. 21st, we had a community futures meeting by Zoom. And can I ask Councillor Chechka a question on your committee? Sure. You had said that the locums would rather go to the hospital and work in that. So if they're all going to be in a hospital and that, does that mean they're going to be working emergencies? Our emergency department is going to be overwhelmed up there with everybody going up there if they can't get in here to see a doctor? Has that ever been brought up?
Through the Deputy Mayor to Councillor Bevan. Thanks for the question. So I'm not certain how many locums we have all the time. I know we do have one right now, and the locum that we do have right now, she actually doesn't mind being in the clinic as well. But generally speaking, most locums that they talk to at the conference prefer to be just in the hospital and not to be taking patients in clinics. I don't think that we will start seeing hospitals overwhelmed because we currently have a shortage of 23,000 physicians in Canada. So I don't think there were 23,000 physicians or locums there. We have a big gap to fill, even with the locums that were there.
Thank you, Councillor Chechka. Councillor Moore, your report.
Thank you. On April 15th, I attended the Rare Gems grand opening on 3rd Avenue and cutting the ribbon and everything else like that. And if you want Rare Gems, it's a place to go. And that's all I have.
Bringing it back for souvenirs?
Oh.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. My report. I briefly attended the Youth Unhoused Dinner on the 18th. On the 28th, we had a pre-YCE meeting. 29th, we had our YCE meeting. And on the 5th, we had Youth Council. And that is my report. All right, moving on. We have no information items, no notices of motions, no omissions, no business. We do have an in-camera meeting. By a motion that the meeting move to a closed session pursuant to Section 24 and 27 of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. Our legals is FOIP 27, privileged information. Councillor Chenard.
I'll make the motion, what you said.
Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried.